Hi, it's Book Club Wednesday again. If this is your first time seeing my videos, I'm C.M. Vasquez, author of The Birdcage Society Falling, the first in an ongoing psychological mystery series. Today I'm going to be recapping and giving my impressions of Chapter 15 of Darkly Dreaming Dexter. I do have a full list of chapters 1 through 14 on my YouTube profile, so if you'd like to join the book club, please read along with me and give me your own impressions in the comments for each video. Let's get started. Chapter 15 starts off with Dexter hearing the guard downstairs. The man's radio gave him away, and Dexter makes some quick decisions. He thinks about just killing the guard so he can finish up with Jaworski. Dexter feels as if he is very close to something, but can't quite grasp it. If he just had a little more time. With this thought, it seems as if Dexter's fascination with the prostitute killer runs a bit deeper. Where the killer was playing around with cuts, and Dexter described him as trying to find the right way, it seems Dexter has taken a page from this book as well. As if Dexter's dark passenger has been inspired by this killer and now wants to experiment. But, thankfully, Dexter quickly discards the idea of killing the guard. The man is innocent, and because of that, doesn't fit the code. So Dexter makes a rash decision by slitting Jaworski's throat, which he regrets instantly because of the mess that it makes. He says it's unclean, and he's unsatisfied, but there's no other option but to run. So he bolts down the stairs and peers out a window where he finds the guard looking up at the building. When the guard is distracted by entering the building, Dexter jumps out the window, tweaking his ankle in the process, and makes his way to his car and drives away. Thinking all the while how stupid and impulsive this risk was, he'd never done anything like this before. He violated the Harry way of safe, careful, and prepared. But at least he still only killed a bad person. So there is a bright side here. But I hope leaving the body behind doesn't come back to bite him in the ass. The prostitute killer is dangerous for Dexter, but not in the way you'd think. He knows about Dexter. He knows where he lives, but it's how Dexter is affected by him that's the problem. This man triggers Dexter's dark passenger, and as a result, Dexter was almost caught. I wonder, though, if push came to shove and the guard had seen Dexter, would Dexter have really let the man call it in? Or would he have killed him to protect himself? I think it would be the latter, because self-preservation is a strong instinct, Code of Harry or no. Dexter does say he might have had to, so let me know in the comments what you think about it. Do you think Dexter would have killed the guard? Even though the guard hadn't seen Dexter, he still isn't out of the woods yet. It's possible the guard took down his license plate number while on patrol, and if that's the case, Dexter's carefully built life would be over. I have a hard time believing that this would be the case. Although I expect that Dexter will have a lot of near misses throughout the series, it would be far too early for Dexter to be caught. There are 8 books in this series, and for a story from the perspective of a serial killer, getting caught in the first book would be pretty lame. Dexter says he will never be impulsive like this again. It was stupid, but also thrilling and wildly exciting. He admits he will still be exploring that part of himself that got so excited during the act of torturing Jaworski, but he's going to analyze it at a later time when he's better prepared. During this entire ordeal with Jaworski, Dexter had completely forgotten that he'd agreed to meet with Rita that night, and is once again frustrated that not only is he thinking about her again, when all he wants to do is take a long shower and think about how exciting it was to torture and kill Jaworski, even if it was cut short. But also that he now has to go to Rita's house and listen to her spew emotions at him. He assumes, at least. But the bright side for this too is that the visit with Rita and Dexter will provide him with an alibi. And when he shows up at Rita's house, she opens the door wearing only lingerie. Seems I was right about this. Dexter is very confused. He knows this display is for him, but he doesn't understand why. She invites him in, and they sit on the couch. Dexter's mind wanders to what he did to Jaworski, and a little bit later, he realizes that Rita has started to cry softly next to him. He doesn't feel the need to comfort her, but makes an attempt to do so anyway, because that's the human thing to do. So while he is comforting her, he is still thinking about Jaworski and the excitement, not only for what he was doing, but what could have been if he hadn't been interrupted. Then Rita looks up at him, and he looks back without really seeing her. He's still seeing what he did to Jaworski. And then Dexter and Rita have sex on the couch. Now, this act was not described, to my disappointment, but to be fair, it's not that kind of book. I do have to wonder, though, if during the act, Dexter was still thinking about Jaworski. I kind of think that might be the case, but that's really weird and also kind of creepy. So hopefully that wasn't the case, and we'll get more of that later. But there does end up being a short time skip after the event. Dexter leaves Rita's house after she falls asleep, and he immediately falls asleep as soon as he gets home and he hits his bed. All the adrenaline from that day is gone, and Dexter just crashes. He dreams about Jaworski, but in the dream, the man shifts to the body of a woman, and instead of Dexter wielding the knife, it's the prostitute killer. He wakes with an awful headache and more confusion and questions than he had before. Why is he suddenly having these dreams when he'd never had them before? What is the killer trying to tell him? How does he help Deb with her career and get away from LaGuerta's flirting? And last but not least, why had Rita had sex with him? He feels like he's in a soap opera. And pops some pills for his headache, takes some aspirin, and at the end of the chapter, he thinks that he doesn't much care for medicine in any way that's not utilitarian, at least. Not since Harry died. And with this way the chapter ends, I think we will be getting into the particulars of Harry's death in the next chapter. I was disappointed in this one that Dexter seems so unaffected by being intimate with Rita, other than confusion. I was hoping that sex would have more of an impact on him. And maybe it will later on. Here's to hoping. See you next time. Bye.